Welcome back. Pioneer Foods has recalled some Liquifruit apple juice products. The company says that a limited quantity of juice concentrate contained elevated levels of patulin. Now, patulin is a toxic compound produced by mould. So let's delve further into how the recall will actually affect farmers. I'm joined now by the Deputy President of the African Farmers Association of South Africa, Pitso Sekhoto. Dr. Sekhoto, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Perhaps you can provide for us some kind of explanation as to this mould. I mean, for something to contain mould in itself sounds quite dangerous and quite serious, just to say the least. Any form of insights as to how we possibly came to such a conundrum?
Faith, thanks very much. Just firstly to correct, I'm actually member of executives of AFASA National Committee, and I'm also the chair of mobilization and membership committee, not deputy president.
Apologies for that one, Dr. Sekhoto.
Yes,
I'm sure we're able to correct things. No, but talk to us for real, though. Talk to us a little bit about how we got to this situation. Do you have any form of suggestions or, solutions as to how we got to this place?
Yeah, I think the question of regulations, the question of also checking production lines, quality, regulating, and also making sure that all the products are in line with the health standard. I think that's the bottom line. And we always have some of these mistakes that happens along the way. But I think it all boils down to the controls and also making sure that the product is checked, it's gone according to the standard of health, according to the health regulations, WHO, and also the regulations of the country.
Dr. Sekhoto, if I understand you clearly, if you're saying that these are the issues, that means that the production line, right, which starts from when the product gets manufactured to somebody actually having a drink, does that mean that the production line is actually not properly regulated and those checks and balances are not properly implemented that would allow for something like a toxin, a fungal toxin, to actually be present in some of the apple juice concentrates?
Yes, if you can't check your production lines, because this is actually happening at the processing production line. So those are the people who must actually check the product and make sure that they are processing something that is right for consumption. And I think it's where the mistake has happened, at the production line.
Yeah.
The processing plant is the one that has to do all these mistakes, correct these mistakes.
Help me understand you, and I know that I'm laboring on this point, but if you're saying that the mistake is at the production line and that the checks and balances are not done adequately, which is how we led to this mistake, Mr. Sekhoto, I don't know if we can call this a mistake. It almost sounds as though it is a ticking time bomb that was just waiting to explode, especially if those health regulations are not adhered to adequately. It was only a matter of time before we found ourselves in this kind of situation.
I think the health department must take control, the labor department must take control, and you know what, everything must just be done correctly in this country. We always get this, it was Tiger some few years ago. Now it's Pioneer Food. So tomorrow, who's going to be tomorrow? I think we need to put our rules, regulations, and check this product. And people who are supposed to check the quality controls, and also, they always say when you go to these production lines, there are independent quality controlled experts who are sitting in those lines. How can this thing happen when we have top quality controls who are being deployed to those factories?
Yeah.
That's the problem that we have.
So according to the World Health Organization, Yeah. So, well, according to the World Health Organization, it is understood that the mold is often found in rotting apples and apple products. So if it's found in rotting apples, does that mean that from a farming perspective, that it starts even from the farms, that some of the farmers may be producing or giving apples that have been rotten, and somehow these companies are using the rotting apples instead of putting them aside, especially if it's found in the rotting apples themselves?
Faith, if you go to Western Cape, to these big farmers, they keep this apple in their fridges for almost a year.
Oh.
For 6 months, 3 months. Possibly something has gone wrong there with the temperature of a certain product setting from somewhere, because the apple can be kept for the whole year as long as the temperature and the controls are proper. The fridges, everything are proper, so nothing wrong. But I think somewhere, somehow, they took something that is not right for production, because this happened at the production line, and we can't bring in farmers here, because the farmers are bringing something fresh to these people, and these people are also taking these apples to keep them for a certain period of time. And possibly along that production line, something happened with those apples that had that fungi.
So now, how does this affect farmers?
Look, I don't think at this stage, for a short period, they can affect farmers, because it's something that happened at the production line. Farmers will always bring their apples, and they will always buy their apples going forward. I really don't think at this stage farmers can be affected, because it's just something that happened along the processing plant and at a certain types of apples that have been kept for whatever period there.
All right, so I would really love your opinion on this one as we close this conversation, Pitso Sekhoto. So you're saying that the production line needs health regulation checks, which clearly are not in place, according to this conversation that you and I have just had, that there needs to be proper quality controls, which clearly are lacking behind. But all of these discrepancies and all of this incompetence has a direct impact on the consumer. That is you and I, who has to take this apple juice, or whether it's apple juice or appetizer, whatever it is, but we have to take this apple juice, we consume it, and it looks as though we're consuming it at our own detriment. So what can we as the consumers do now to best protect ourselves against such health violations?
We must only rely to the players, who must keep on checking standardization of these processes. Without that, we go nowhere. All of us must be part of these processes of making sure that the product that comes out or to the world is number one. And all what we need to do is to make sure that those products are being checked properly through regulations. I think our standard is very high here in this country. And there are those people who are actually slaughtering them according to those mistakes that are happening now. But to our research, the standard is very high, unless if these big companies are now taking too much and not having a lot of controls along the way.
Pitso Sekhoto, thank you so much for your time this evening. Certainly opened up our eyes just around how certain companies need to do a proper health regulatory framework check in terms of the type of products that we are consuming. He's from the African Farmers Association of South Africa.